do anything yesterday. Got dreams today. This will be the first one. This one should, and um, this one's gonna be a little bit nerdy, but eh, that's what I do. And yes, never mind all the religious texts in the back of me. Yes, yes, I know they're not mine. I'm probably gonna say that like probably 15, 20 times. I don't care. But yeah, these texts aren't mine. This is not my house. These is so it's not a lot of my own stuff in here. Well, actually, no, there's some of my stuff in here, but none of these things you see behind me are mine. Um, the stream I have planned for later today should be good. I'm not gonna say much more about it other than it should be good. um, but with no further ado, let's get into it. So, if you didn't see the title, um, when you click in for the people who come into the stream later, um, the title is, your mind is still better than ChatGPT. And I don't mean just ChatGPT, I'm talking about all those little um, machine learning programs out there right now that people are using for either entertainment, for education, and stuff like that. They're, contrary to popular belief, they're not better than actually like doing stuff yourself, like research, like say like in the context of school, you're still better off writing your own papers. Yes, they will be flawed, but your um, your papers will be geared towards presumably geared towards someone who's actually trying to suss out something that is true or factual, whereas these AI programs like ChatGPT aren't programmed to seek truthiness. They are just meant to, look at the, you know, everything sentence through sentence and be able to churn out stuff based on that algorithm and other metrics. It doesn't really ensure that it'll be accurate. So, in any case, hi, M host. How are you? So, in any case, guys, yeah. So, if you're in school, going to school, or doing something that you know where you're thinking of using ChatGPT, that's fine. But if if it's in education, just realize that one, that will be considered plagiarism because ChatGPT will, now that it's connected online and stuff, it will go online and search for stuff and just copy verbatim what someone else said and churn it and regurgitate it back to you for you to use. That is plagiarism. You will risk getting either a failing grade, um, put on academic probation, or even kicked out of school for that. It's not worth it. And yes, I know there are a lot of students doing it. That doesn't mean you should take your chances with it. So this is geared towards younger people, um, but some of this can apply to older folks as well. Um, Country says hi. I'm from Pakistan. What's up? Pre Dream says hi. Slay All Day says hey. Um, Thank you guys for the support. Pre Dream says I live to study, but I want to give something back. Twice suffices. Philippines, love you, bro. Are you in the Philippines? Twice suffice. Um, you know, much love to anyone in the Philippines, but Also, guys, I won't be taking any questions outside of the topic. A lot of you are new here because I don't usually stream at this time of day. So just to let you know, if you're asking me questions irrelevant to the topic, it won't be answered. They will be ignored. If you want me to answer a question that is irrelevant to the actual topic, then drop a cash app or drop a Venmo or buy me a coffee. That's the only way I'll answer questions that have nothing to do with this topic, which is talking about ChatGPT and other types of learning AI and why they are insufficient to our mental capabilities as such. Hello, guys. Hello, Richard. Can't pronounce your name this in Cyrillic, but hello. Twice if I said sure I'm a legit Filipino. That's what's up. Um, Jet Jaguar says, "What is your channel about?" Well, you should probably look at the channel description before you just jump into a live stream. That might behoove you to do as such. I wouldn't just jump into a random live stream and not know what I'm getting myself into first. Anyway, appreciate it, Vaughn. So yeah, so let's get into it, guys. So this won't be purely philosophical, but just more like a pragmatic discussion that so I was reading an article from a old one of my former philosophy professors because they now have a newsletter that they send out to students and alumni. So I was reading his criticism of ChatGPT and how one of the former doctoral students there who received their PhD at my alma mater in the philosophy department, who now teaches at another university, as a professor, you know, made big news like about a year or two ago when, you know, he detected that someone was using ChatGPT to do a philosophy paper. So, FYI, if you are in philosophy, don't try to use ChatGPT because it's not going to work well. Philosophy papers have a very um, special way they need to be written. So it'll be quite easy to detect when someone isn't really writing it themselves. Jad, excuse me, Jaguar. My bio did describe the purpose of my channel. If you couldn't detect that, then you're probably just an idiot because it literally breaks down the name of the why the name of the channel is what it is and what I tend to discuss and what my interests are. If you didn't see that, or rather, if you saw it but didn't comprehend that, then that is a you problem, not a me problem. And again, anyone who would jump into a live stream not knowing what it's about sounds to be not a very rational person. So, in any case, um, so again, with this student who's now a professor at another school, he found that a student was probably doing something using ChatGPT to discuss a paper on the paradox of horror. The paradox of horror is why does something that causes fear in us is so entertaining, and is and the student related it to an an uh, an old essay written by a, a 18th century Scottish philosopher named David Hume, who wrote on something very similar. And it just seemed like that in the paper, the person was churning out exactly what the David Hume said verbatim on the subject. But then the rest of the paper was just like sort of BS, like meaning when I say BS, that it wasn't trying to be truthy and it wasn't lying about anything as well. It was just kind of just churning out information. So he actually went to a chat GPT checker website and found that, yeah, most likely that the person had used a chat GPT like program to write that paper. He confronted the student during an interview, to which the student, reluctantly admitted, yeah, that they did so. And this caused big waves. And the guy was interviewed on a bunch of different platforms on TV and the internet about detecting chat GPT and why um, it will it's not going to help students in the long run. So okay. So anyway, that's what happened. And so the professor and my professor who was writing on the issue was saying, we're discussing the fact that ChatGPT is going to help you in many fields of academia, especially like in philosophy, where it has to be your argument. uh, because one of the faults of ChatGPT and other machine learning type systems is it's not it's not programmed to give you something that's true. It's just there basically to regurgitate information, and there's no truth evaluation in that. Whereas with us, part of what makes humans unique is that our minds actually have been developed, have evolved for truth seeking. We actually have processes that we actually have cognitive processes for truth evaluation, which is not the case in machine learning. Machine learning is based on like algorithms and certain programs that can do an amazing a lot of stuff, but the goal is not for truth evaluation. So I'm doing well, Alpha Pond. Thank you. But yeah, guys. So for some of you who plan on using ChatGPT either at work or school, just know that one, there are things that can check for ChatGPT, and two, if what you're doing, what one of the if the thing that for which you are using ChatGPT is to look for is to give you something that gives you accurate information, then ChatGPT isn't the best for that. You're better off just actually doing that yourself, and then just being assisted either through ChatGPT or other um, online sources, uh, which also gets into the whole issue of strong AI and singularity. So with strong AI, the thought is that machine learning will get to a point where artificial intelligence can't be distinguished from human intelligence. This was part of what Alan Turing developed as a Turing test back um, like some 70 years ago. He thought that if you could set up um, some sort of machine and program it in such that in conversation with it, you couldn't discern the difference between you're chatting with people or if you're or talking to like a machine, then then by that process alone, one could say that machine or robot or whatever was artificially intelligent. ChatGPT hasn't arisen to that case yet. You can have conversations with it, but it's quite apparent that you're not talking to a real person in some of the answers it churns out to you. It has not gotten there yet. Now, that's not to say it won't get to that point, that it won't be indiscernible from actual conversations with people. It just hasn't gotten to that point yet. However, the other fear of strong AI, um, that you know artificial intelligence will will outpace human intelligence. Like in some respects, it has, just as far as processing speed and power and just raw power. Yeah, it already exceeds human intelligence. But as far as the capabilities of human intelligence, it hasn't gotten to that point yet. One of the and that's called the human AI problem, which is not just a problem in artificial intelligence, but is also a problem in philosophy, because the people working in and AI research aren't going to get to that point without the philosopher's help. And the problem is that artificial intelligence programs can't do abductive reasoning. Abductive reasoning is a unique human form of uh, of reasoning processing that seemingly, I don't think even the lower animals are able to do. Abductive reasoning entails intuition and creativity, and that's just not something you can yet program into a computer. Again, guys, I'm not answering any irrelevant questions. Drop a cash app if you want me to answer a question that has nothing to do with the topic. Otherwise, I'm going to just keep ignoring you. You will be ignored. Drop a cash app. So, in any case, so abductive reasoning, unlike other forms of reasoning like deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning, turns out a little bit differently, because in deductive reasoning, the 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 premises guarantees the conclusion with necessity. In inductive reasoning, which is more probabilistic, the premises guarantees with some amount of probability the conclusion in even argument or an inference. And there's many different types of inductive inferences. You have simple inductive reference inferences, statistical inferences, which our we also can do pretty well. Uh, we can do a sort of naive statistical inference, and we can also do sort of like natural deductions for deductive inference. And the more complicated deductive inferences usually require us learning like formal logic and mathematics, but there's a sort of in natural deduction that our mind brains can do. And again, inductive inference comes in all sorts, like simple inductive inferences, statistical inferences. Um, there's a thing called eliminative inferences, which can be deductive or inductive. But abductive inferences, which is unique from deductive and inductive, is different because the premises do not in any way guarantee the conclusion. There's sort of a logical jump between the premises and the conclusion that that can't really be adequately adequately explained through a mathematical model, which is why it can't be programmed into AI, because again, that logical jump from the premises to the conclusion, which you see often in the classic Sherlock Holmes books, but that sort of, unfortunately, he used to call it deduction in those books, by the way. But Sherlock Holmes was actually doing abductive reasoning. So I don't want to get people confused on that point. Um, and I know there's no one in the chat. This is for when I upload this. So for people that are saying, "Well, there's no one in the chat room," I don't care. This is going to get uploaded where people will see it. So just to preface that when people say it. In any case, so it seems the reasons there's a logical jump between the premises and the conclusion in abductive reasoning as opposed to inductive and deductive reasoning is that that logical gap um, is is closed through human intuition and creativity, and we just don't know how to program that into machines yet. Once there is, there will be some sort of strong AI, but I still don't think it will lead to the fear of the singularity moment that a lot of futurists, like Elon Musk and others, predict. What's up, Keisha H? So yeah, the singularity fear is that strong AI will reach a point where it not only exceeds our capabilities, but and surpassing us will replace us. I don't think that's realistic. I'm doing all right. How are you? But anyway, getting off of the whole futuristic fears of singularity and the strong AI. So the human AI problem seems rather intractable, at least for right now, because, like I said, in order to bridge the human AI problem, they'll actually have to form some sort of formal models of intuition and creativity, which are almost completely juxtaposed to those to that very sort of thing. So I don't know how you do that. So there may always be this gap between machine learning and human intelligence, and as such, at least for right now, ChatGPT is still going to be inferior to you actually just grinding out your own papers and doing your own work, whether for school or for work. Like, yes, it'll be flawed, but again, someone reviewing it, such as a boss or your professor or whomever, will at least see that aiming for you're aiming for accuracy in your paper. Well, if you actually care about it. Whereas a paper written by ChatGPT or one of the other similar programs may it may superficially be a better written paper, but it'll be obvious that it's churning out BS because again, ChatGPT and other machine learning like programs aren't programmed to seek truth. This program just to churn out information on a given subject based on its database and what it can pull from the internet. So caveat emptor when it comes to like school and all that sort of stuff. Oh, Keisha, if you're gonna be in the chat, I'm gonna later this evening. I'm gonna do another live stream. I have something special coming up if you want to check that out, and that goes to everyone else as well. But I know you're usually in my evening stream, so just wanted to let you know. But yeah, for the other folks, they're more than welcome as well. um, but yeah, guys, I'm gonna go unless I get any comments, relevant comments. I'm not gonna be talking about religious or financial questions or anything of the sort that have nothing to do with this actual chat room. I mean, this actual like discussion today. Um, Twice suffice if you're still in the chat. What part of the Philippines are you from? Or if you see this after it's uploaded, you can answer it in the comment section, guys. Like if you see this after it's been uploaded and you're watching it, um, you know, you're watching it after I've gone live. Feel free to leave any questions or comments in the comment section, and I'll look at those and answer them. But otherwise, I am going to wrap it up. I'll give it a few minutes to see if I'm getting any more comments, but I know this isn't my most productive time. But I wanted to get this out before I forgot. Since I had just freshly watched that article, I mean, read that article, Give me a second, guys. Oh, what's up, BSK? Guys, hold on. I will be right back, all right? All right, guys, so I'm back. No, I put it on mute, BSK, because I had to go do something very quickly. That's why I was on mute. But yeah, so like I said, for the folks who didn't catch the discussion, I was discussing why ChatGPT is pretty shitty compared to just doing your own work. And it's just a new form of plagiarism, basically, if you're using it for like academic purposes. And like I said, like a friend and I actually had a discussion about it a few weeks ago. No, I mean a few days ago. But eh, yes, a lot of people are using it, um, but that doesn't mean that a lot of people won't get caught. Why be the person who gets caught? Like, is the best, is the best response you're going to have to being caught is, well, everyone else does it. That's not going to be, they're not going to care. You're going to be the one that's like put on like academic probation or kicked out of school, or if it's like for something for work, losing possibly a job or a promotion or whatever the case may be. Like, you're better off just doing your own work with with it being inferior as it is to doing using ChatGPT and stuff like that, because it will many people will eventually get caught using it. Um, it's there's really no shortcut to, like, basically studying, reading, and a good strong cup of coffee to get through a long slog of a paper. Um, and like I said, I mean, you can use ChatGPT to assist you in a lot of stuff, but I wouldn't rely on it to do everything. That's my advice. But you don't have to listen to me. I'm the guy who was in school 25 years before there was any sort of chat GPT, but people were still cheating and finding ways to plagiarize back then. I remember the first time I plagiarized, it wasn't in college, it was in high school, but at the time I really didn't know what that was. This was the ninth grade, and had no idea that what I was doing was considered academic dishonesty. But the teacher made a big case of it. She didn't call me out in class. She just mentioned that someone did that. And then after class spoke to me about it, and we had a discussion. So I understood the error of my ways. So I don't plagiarize anymore. Like I said, that was back in ninth grade. Definitely didn't do it in college. It wasn't worth being put in academic probation. The only scare I did have in college was I had two different classes with the same professor, both in psychology, but one was a class on on think um, ironically human on decision making and judgments, thinking thinking and processes, that sort of thing. And another one was I think was it statistics, I believe. Yeah, I think it was either behavioral statistics or something else. So I had two separate classes with the same professor, and I had to miss a class because I had to do something with the army at the time. So he let me do makeup exams, and yeah, so I had to do some field training exercises in the army on the time for that midterm. So he let me make it up, and he actually had me in one of his labs. And here's the thing: one of the exams was an open book exam, the other one wasn't, but I wasn't sure because he had kind of made them the same way. Like I said, two different classes, but he has set up those exams very similarly. So I thought both were open book exams, which was actually just a genuine mistake on my part. But when he saw it, he thought that I was intentionally cheating, and I'm like, no, you, this exam was open book. I thought this one was as well because it was set up the same way. He was like, I don't see how you could have made that mistake. And so I had to go through the whole student judicial process uh, to adjudicate it, and they luckily actually found me to have been in you know had genuinely making a mistake, which doesn't happen often. Usually, when stuff goes to the student judicial review, more than likely that the student is considered to have done something academic dishonestly. But I think they saw that it was a genuine confusion there. So I was one of the few people that actually won their just student judicial cases. I'm not from any African country. You obviously aren't American. You're from a foreign country. You're the foreigner. I'm not. I'm American as American pie. My my ancestor goes back to one of the founding fathers of this country. Can you say the same? I doubt it. No problem, BSK. We'll talk later. Oh, by the way, I will be having a second stream later this evening, so check that out. It's going to be something nice. I don't want to say too much about it, but the live stream I'm having later tonight will be something nice. So check back in this evening, BSK. What's up, Layla? No, I'm definitely not an immigrant. I'm an American through and through. Go somewhere else with that immigrant shit. Anyway, my accent is called a mid-Atlantic accent. People from Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New York, we all talk in a similar way. Anyway, um, getting back to, so yeah, guys, I'm gonna end this soon because I don't have any relevant questions coming in or comments about the actual content of this topic, which is my argument that basically just doing things the hard way, as far as doing a paper or doing research, either for school or for work, you should do it on your own instead of using ChatGPT. Now, if someone wants to do it for work, I'm not gonna be, you know, to me that's not as bad as doing it academically, because when it comes to academics, you're actually supposed to be showing your own acumen. You're actually supposed to be learning something. Whereas with work, you're not really, well, by and large, you're not really learning something. You're just churning out something to for you know, not to learn something, but to get your firm ahead or whatever. Like, but no, um, still wouldn't recommend the chat GPT. Like I said, you can use it to assist you, but I would not rely on it to write your whole paper. I just think that's a risky idea. And plus, like I said, the mind is still better at many forms of reasoning than machine learning is. Um, but unless there's any other relevant comments or questions to that, I'm going to call this a do. All right. I'm gonna give it a few minutes, but yeah, I don't see anything coming productively out of this because most of the people at this time aren't people who are American or people who have any genuine interest in what their live streamer is talking about, unless they're showing like stupid stuff like butts and food and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, I'll give it a few. So this will be a short stream, but like I said, I have a special one coming up this evening, and I have already applied for my YouTube partnership program. So that takes about a month before that actually you're actually approved. But I did, pre-qualify for it to set it up. So we'll see, maybe by August or September. um, Hopefully everyone can hear me adequately. I got the mute off and I have the volume all the way up. I only put it on mute temporarily when I had to go run and do something since I'm home. But yeah, I don't see anything coming out of this. So again, guys, I'm just gonna regurgitate what I said from above. And if I get any comments, then I'll go from there. If not, then I'll just end the live stream. But again, the topic was your mind is better than ChatGPT. The reason being is that for one, ChatGPT and and the similar programs like it, I'm just using the ChatGPT generically in a generic sense for all those similar programs that have come out that are just like it. But ChatGPT and all the similar programs are just based on some algorithms and metrics that can churn out information based on its database and what it can um, take from the internet, and it will regurgitate it all out back to you. And it would behoove you not to just simply turn that into a paper because chat there are now programs that can detect chat gpt, and you will be the recipient of whatever consequences that will be when your professor or your supervisor uses the chat gpt detector to see that you didn't really do anything. Also, like I said, if it's within a certain field like philosophy or something, they won't even need that chat gpt detector to know that you are plagiarizing, because they may actually recognize the work that you've plagiarized via ChatGPT, or they'll know that the paper's just BS because you probably didn't proofread it yourself. You just took all of it verbatim and just made it into a paper and stuck your name on it. But a problem with too much information comes from ChatGPT is just BS. When I say BS, I don't mean that it's false. I don't mean that it's necessarily false. I'm talking about the uh, the the ethics of its truth value. Some of it will be somewhat truthy, some of it will be more true, but it's not geared towards truth. Like those programs don't have built-in truth evaluation for the content that it that it gathers for you. On the other hand, that's on that one hand, right? But on the other hand, the mind has been evolved to to for truth evaluation. That's one of the most unique aspects of human cognition is our ability for truth evaluation, part of how the mind works. And as such, you're probably better off doing a flawed paper than churning out a perfectly BS paper from ChatGPT. And the other issue that I brought up earlier was also that the reason for that is that ChatGPT doesn't pass the Turing test. Although here's the thing, the Turing test, which I didn't mention earlier, the Turing test isn't a very good test of whether something is intelligent or not. But for the sake of machine learning, the machine learning still doesn't pass the Turing test in some ways because you can still tell that you're not talking to an actual person, which is the very test itself, is that talking to a robot or machine of some sort, if if the conversation would lead you to think you're genuinely talking to other people, then that very machine would be considered artificially intelligent in that respects. But that's very it that sort of definition of intelligence does too little and is both too narrow and too wide in different aspects. In any case, it doesn't in that case pass the Turing test. And the third thing is the human AI problem, is the general problem in cognitive science, artif- artificial intelligence research, and philosophy of mind, which is AI just simply can't replicate human intelligence because it's an it has it doesn't have the ability to do abductive reasoning, which is the most common form of human reasoning, which is abductive reasoning can also be called inference to the best explanation. You can't program that into computers because it entails using intelligence. Excuse me, it entails using intuition and creativity, the very things that people look for in papers when you write an academic paper or you write a business paper. They're looking for that intuition and creativity, which is which is uh, property, which are the properties of abductive reasoning, which is how you get from that logical jump from the premises to the conclusion. Unlike in deductive formal reasoning of logic and math, or the inductive reasoning of of informal logic. From there, the premises guarantees the conclusion in an argument or inference. There's no and with deductive reasoning, whether you're talking about logic and math, the deduction, the de- the conclusion, what um, follows necessarily from the premises in a deductive argument or deductive inference. With inductive reasoning, the premises guarantees the conclusion with some level of probability in an inductive argument or inference. But in an abductive inference, the premises don't do that. There's a logical gap between what the premises gives you, the data that is, to the conclusion that you reach in an abductive inference or argument. And to our best knowledge, that logical gap from the premises to the conclusion is filled in through human intuition and creativity. And then we don't know how to, there's no way to formally model that, at least not yet, if ever. And that is woefully missing in machine learning like ChatGPT, which is why papers will come out sounding very and impersonal. Like it won't sound like it was written by a person when someone reads through it, especially if it's not talking about something STEM related. If it's talking about something related to philosophy and the humanities and stuff like that, where they're actually looking for your voice in that paper, they're not gonna get that voice in your paper because it'll have been all just something that you you gleaned from ChatGPT. So in doing so, you will risk a failing grade or being stuck on academic probation or even getting put out. Likewise, with if this is for work, you might um, end up not getting that promotion. You might end up being kicked off that project. You might end up getting fired. And any of these sorts of things, this is really not worth it just because a bunch of other people are getting away with it. That's never a good excuse to say, well, they're all getting away with it. That's when you get caught, that's a horrible explanation. Well, everyone else was doing it, so why not me? Horrible, horrible explanation or excuse for getting caught doing something you shouldn't be doing. So don't take the shortcut. Write your own papers, whether it's for school, whether it's for work. But by all means, do use ChatGPT to assist you. That's fine. But you should not be just regurgitating on everything that ChatGPT gave you and calling it your own work. That is dishonest. And when it if and when it gets caught, then your career is on the lifeline. So that's my advice, guys. Um, Let me see something here. So yeah, I haven't really gotten any responses because honestly, I don't think most of the people here have anything that intelligible to say about this. Most of these people are either not American and have no idea what I'm talking about, or or they checked out a long time ago because it wasn't something interesting, or I'm also not in the time span that I usually do my live streams. So with that being said, I will be going because I haven't had any responses that were relevant to what I'm discussing since I started this. But I wanted to get this out so I can upload it later for people to watch. And so I said this so I basically just repeated what I said earlier. So you're gonna catch this either at the front end of this conversation or now at the back end. Um, and I'll give it a few seconds to a minute to see if I'm getting any responses and not call it a day, guys. And I could have done this as a pre-recorded video, but I actually wanted to see if anyone had anything else to say about it. I might do a pre-recorded video on just this with my friend and I talking about it since he and I actually had this discussion 2 days ago. See if he might want to talk about it on camera. But if not, that's cool. And of course, in my later stream this evening, if people were here earlier or in the live stream later on, they can bring up this topic again if they want, and we can talk more about it. They can tell me why I'm wrong or why they think I'm right or all the different intermediary in between. All right. So thank you guys for the people who rock with me. Appreciate you. And like I said, guys, if you have topics you want me to discuss or questions, drop a cash app if I'm already discussing something else. Otherwise, it's just rude to like this to like bring up something that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. It's like keep that thought vomit to yourself, unless you drop in a cash app. Um, I don't see any other comments, so we'll end it there. Take care, guys.